Men or women that have had sex with a man with an abnormally large zombie says, dude had a literal cone-shaped penis. Too big at the base and too small at the tip. The experience looking back was the worst. I was young and naive. Like trying to have sex with an upside-down ice cream cone. Anita89 says, I have never had this conversation before. I've had sex with a guy with that shape too. I don't remember the sex so much as the shape. This is over 10 years ago, mind you. He was on the larger side, 7-ish I would say. But the shape isn't something I've seen again, even in porn. Notatropisware says, I recently had sex with a guy like that. He was not too big at the base but was cone-shaped. It felt like he was stabbing my insides with a knife. And he kept telling me that he knew I was coming. I repeatedly told him I was not. He told me not to be embarrassed and quit lying. Sloppy Kitty says, for all the little PPs out there, just remember, a tic-tac still hurts at 50 miles per hour. Thumbs in Action says, abnormally large fellow dislodged my IUD, was temporarily crippled by the pain and had to go to the doctors to make sure it hadn't perforated my uterus. Wasn't exactly what I'd describe as fun. PM Me Roosters says, I lost my virginity to someone with a 9-ish incher. He was the epitome of having a big dick doesn't make you good in bed. Didn't try to turn me on. Didn't do anything but jackhammer until he finished. Couldn't even find my clit the one time he ever tried. All I really remember about that sex is the overwhelming, displeasurable pain of having him punch my cervix with his cock. Ranger Bachibu says, he used his size as a reason to not really try in bed. He never gave me opportunity to warm up, and even though I thoroughly enjoy super rough sex, he just thought ramming it into me over and over was the way to go. Lack of warm-up and him just thrusting hard like no tomorrow left me sore and angry. Not the good kind of sore, either. My cervix hated me when I was with him. Noodles_the_food says, during sex it felt great I guess because of the adrenaline, but afterwards I was doubled over in pain. It felt like my cervix had been drop-kicked by Chuck Norris. Primetime061 says, Chuck Norris drop-kicked me too. Had to make a profile says, drop-dicked. Sun_Leone says, above average can be absolutely incredible, especially in certain positions. That is until your cervix gets hit. Learned Butt says, I have my donut. It's a rubber ring, not a cock ring, the size of a donut that goes around my cock at the base and acts as a bumper so I can go to town without the cervix bashing. Theravtrain says, that is actually genius. You are a considerate big dick man. Thindayuandme says, I thought you said, you are considerate big dick man, like it was his motherfucking superhero name. A3 Thurn says, oh, Mr. Big Dick Man, can you get my cat down from this tree safely? Not to worry, ma'am. I know how to handle a pussy. I do not want to eat you. Says, had sex with a big dick guy, it was simultaneously the most boring and painful sex of my life. He wasn't a big dude, so the blood it took to power this thing left him dizzy. He pretty much just laid there while I tried to figure out how to fit this terrifying doom cannon into my body. I gave up after about 10 minutes, then he cried. Ismo says, had a couple hookups with a guy whose dick was about the same size as my index finger. We only did blowjobs, but holy shit. It was like someone trying to make me throw up by sticking their finger down my throat. Haluan Snusnu says, I have had both. The large one never learned that a majority of the population do not like getting harpooned like a dolphin within a few seconds. Like go slow and use lube if you have to. Lube isn't just for anal. I can take a decent amount, but when they hit my cervix, oh, I have to tap out for a bit. I'm a big woman, so the small one I felt only grinding against my clit. Didn't feel the penetration, but he was persistent and lasted a lot longer than the bigger guys. Also, he gave me more attention and pulled out toys and all kinds of fun stuff, whereas the bigger guys were all about instant gratification and skipped foreplay. In the end, size doesn't matter to me. Livygriff3 says, I was with a guy who wasn't very well endowed. We were fooling around and he asked for a hand job. I went to put my hand around and found that my hand was larger than his fully erect penis. Similar to many others, couldn't feel it when he put it in either. Name deleted says, oh geez, reminds me of the first time I fooled around with a now ex. We were getting hot and heavy on the couch, lights off, and I'm feeling around for his dick but can't find it. My hand searching around like a cartoon character searching for their dropped glasses. And the 1 or 2 times he topped me, I really didn't feel much. It wasn't bad, I just didn't feel anything. All_ugly duckling says, is everyone measuring from the same spot? From the asshole to a couple inches in front? Name deleted says, a coworker of mine was talking about sleeping with a guy who was almost the size of her Comcast television remote, for visual reference. This is appropriate because Comcast is definitely a big prick. Anyway, she said she tentatively touched it like Indiana Jones with the golden idol, and jiggled it about experimentally. It made a thp sound like a water balloon, and it was so visually striking and distinctive that she wouldn't have been surprised if it had talked or sang a song. In the end, she incredulously asked him what he was planning on doing with that, and had to frankly tell him she didn't think that was going to happen. Argutobi says, sometimes, I ask myself, why the hell did I Google Comcast television remote now? Rebellious One says, been with both. Large, like being repeatedly gut-punched because the dude had no idea what he was doing. I'm pretty sure childbirth was less traumatic on my cervix. I am not a size queen. Small, actually really good. He had the plus of being relatively girthy, and he knew how to work with what he had. It wasn't deep penetration, but that didn't detract from anything. The angle he got was great for more clitoral stimulation, which was great. Space Jetta says, my husband was small. It never mattered. It was great and made BJS much easier. He passed years back. I began dating another guy and he was long and decently thick. I could hardly walk. He had to be careful for a long time because it was painful. I got used to it. He wasn't as attentive as my husband, so the sex wasn't as good overall. BJs were exhausting and I gagged a lot even with taking precautions with my hand. Overall, I enjoyed both extremes. I loved them and that's what mattered mostly.